and welcome in, guys. Adam here, the Orlando Drummer. Good to see you, and thank you for tuning in to another drum lesson. Now today, we're going to be tackling a pattern that I've been totally in love with for a couple months now, but obviously there's no shortage of linear patterns on YouTube or even this channel, but trust me, this one is going to be well worth learning. Now I gotta be honest, I have no idea if this is actually the coolest fill on YouTube, and neither do you, because that's totally subjective, but you clicked the video and here we are, so let's learn something. So we're going to be working towards that 30-second note fill that you saw at the beginning of this video, but that fill is actually just made up of one 16-note pattern, and we're going to play that 2 times in a row. So that 16-note pattern is built using a 6-6-4 template. Those numbers, 6, 6, and 4, tell us that we're using a 6-note pattern, another 6-note pattern, and then a final 4-note pattern, and that's going to give us our total of 16 notes. Now, if you're totally unfamiliar with this method of building fills, I've linked a few lessons down in the description. This should be helpful. So let's just lay this out in a measure of 16th notes. Our first 6-note pattern is a really common one: right, left, kick, kick. Now, the second 6-note pattern is just going to be a standard 6-stroke roll, and you can ghost those diddles in the middle. So that's 12 out of our 16 notes, and then we arrive on the downbeat of 4. Beat 4 is our shorter 4-note pattern of right, left, kick. So without worrying about accents, orchestrations, or any of that stuff, let's just hear what this pattern sounds like on kick and snare. Here's the basic linear pattern at 75 BPM. So if the pattern is feeling good, now we're ready to orchestrate this thing and move it around the kit a little bit. But before we dive into these very specific orchestrations, I've got to remind you that these are literally just suggestions, right? This pattern is unbelievably versatile, and you would be doing these notes a disservice to leave them in the same place, so please experiment. Now, this orchestration on the screen is actually the first half of the full 30-second note fill that we're going to be working towards. So we're taking those first 4 single strokes and walking them down the toms, right, left on the rack, right, left down on the floor tom. When the 6-stroke roll begins, that first right hand is going to the floor tom. Then we have 4 ghosted diddles on the snare. And then you can see that last left hand goes up to a closed hi-hat, and that leads straight into a right hand also on the closed hi-hat. For the rest of beat 4, we're just going to have 2 left-hand ghost notes and a kick drum. We'll try this out as its own 16th note fill against a groove, 60 and 90 BPM. So that's how we're orchestrating the first half of the fill, and now we're going to move on to the second half of the fill. And again, we can just learn this as its own independent 16th note measure. So the first 4 single strokes here are actually giving us that crossover. Right, left on the floor tom, right hand goes above the left hand over to a closed hi-hat, and that last left hand stays over on the floor tom. Now we haven't really changed the orchestration of the 6-stroke roll in this measure. We're just going to open that hi-hat on the of 3 this time. For beat 4, we're just taking that right hand down to the snare nice and heavy, and again, ghosting the left hands followed by a kick drum. Let's give it a shot. Same 2 tempos, 60 and 90 BPM. And you made it. Here is our final 30-second note fill. Now, if we draw a line down the center of this measure, we can see that beats 1 and 2 contain the first orchestration that we learned, and beats 3 and 4 have the second orchestration. Personally, I love the way these two ideas flow together for this longer phrase, but you gotta be aware that you don't wanna have this fill stuck in these positions. Learning a pattern with the orchestration built in, not always the best idea, so again, make sure to experiment. Because we're now in 30-second notes, we'll adjust our tempos accordingly, so we'll try this out at 3 different speeds, working up to a goal tempo of 90 BPM. Let's do it. Alright guys, that is all I have for you in this one, but I hope you enjoyed it. If you want more lessons like this one, come join me on OrlandoDrummer.com, where you'll find over 300 lessons waiting for you and a brand new drum lesson every single week. Thanks for watching guys, I really appreciate it. Adam here, the Orlando Drummer, and I will catch you in the next lesson. Later.